Hey, what's up, everyone? Today I'm going to talk about a topic that I think a lot of entrepreneurs go through, whether that's publicly or even quietly. And that's around the struggles of entrepreneurship and the mindset around failure. And so this is going to be a quick video, but I wanted to touch on it because I think a lot of people, including myself, go through these ups and downs emotionally. And a lot of that actually comes from how we perceive what failure really is. And I think there is a generalized idea of what that means. And some of that meaning can be derived from a single thought or an event that happens within a business. So you could be having, generated no sales in a day. It could be as simple as someone left your company. Maybe all of a sudden, something broke in your funnel or in your offer or in your business. It could be money got held up. It can be anything. And a lot of times those things happen. And depending on where you are at, depending on where you are mentally or what season of life you're in, that can get in the way of your growth if you let it. You see, the key thing is if you let it. And everyone's going to have a different version of that. And I'll explain what that means. So I think it was about what 5 or 6 years ago. What is it, 2025? Yeah, about six around like 2019 was when I created my first offer. And when I say offer, I'm talking about an online course, teaching people how to grow their business through YouTube ads. That was my first course that I've attempted. And I remember at that time I was with a lot of other entrepreneurs in the mastermind. It was Alex Becker's mastermind, actually. And I remember at the time I was a service provider, sharing my experience, how to scale other online courses through YouTube ads. That was my skill set. That's what I was good at. And that's what I provide for other people. But when I was there, learning about how to structure your course, there was one fundamental thing that I never got past, which was getting on camera, which is funny enough because I'm literally putting this out there, right? But there was a time where I was very much the behind the scenes guy. I wanted to be not known. I wanted to be the person in the shadows and really not be public at all. I was fine with meeting people at events, and that was all great, but not on camera. I wanted to be the behind the scenes guy, being the person who scales up these gurus and these offers. So I remember I was trying to put myself on camera, and I would have a million and one excuses why I didn't want to do it. And sometimes it would be subconscious. It was pretty crazy, actually. What I mean by that is by the time I would turn on the camera, I wouldn't know what to say. I would stumble with my words. I wouldn't have the confidence. Nothing would go, right? In the sense that it wasn't good enough. I would have 20 retakes, and this was the first time I actually ever done it. And I remember also very vividly that I would have to have my friend be my accountability partner to try to make sure that I record something and put something out there. That's how bad it was. And I think that really goes to my background and my personality type, which is I'm more structural in nature. I'm a lot more numbers driven. So being on camera, having the energy just wasn't my thing, and it was something that I've always uh, felt like it took a lot of energy. And at that time, that was a huge bottleneck for me and a reason why I couldn't get something out. Now, long story short, I did get it out. I did record ads eventually. Took me a while to do it. It took me like 10 times longer than the average person who would be able to turn on the camera. I had to learn how to talk on camera, and I'm still learning how to do that. I had to, figure out the filming situation. How am I going to record, upload, edit, all that? And um, that took a while. And I could have decided to stop there. I could have decided to quit, but I didn't. I kept on going. And I think if I would have gotten through that earlier enough, I would have put out these videos a lot earlier in my career. You see, because I've worked with enough gurus since over a decade now. And I didn't want to put myself out there on camera. I just thought I wasn't good enough, and I just didn't think that I was the guy who could be a brand, a personality. And boy, was I wrong, because no matter what, you'll always have a brand, whether you whether you think you're on camera or not. Because when you're meeting new people, when you have clients, when you're working with others, you're still representing yourself in some way or form. It may not be through video, but it will be in some way. Personally, um, through an online meeting, through in person, whatever it is, you still have a brand. And this whole thing isn't about brand, but that was more so just giving you an idea that in those moments, for me, it felt like that was the 100-foot wall that I couldn't get past through. And for many of you, you will have your own version of that. That could be writing copy, that could be media buying, it could be coming up with an offer, it could be switching from servicing clients to creating an offer. There's so many different things. It could be getting and hitting your first $1 million, right? Um, I think I think it's so easy to have a situation happen where ROAS went down, whether someone tried to steal your business, like steal your clients, or steal your idea. It could be that you tried 3 to 5 different offers and it didn't work. There are so many things that really could be a reason that you could spin in your own mind to decide why you're not going to continue doing this. And I'm here to tell you that rather than thinking that it didn't work, I would suggest thinking in the sense in the terms of getting better at the skill of entrepreneurship. You see, it was so easy for me to say, all right, well, I tried to throw this offer of, creating YouTube ads and it just didn't work. And the truth is it didn't work, but not for the reasons that I thought. It didn't work not because it didn't work. It didn't work because I just wasn't good enough. And I think that it's harder to admit that, especially when you have your strong skill sets in what you do. And in this new skill set, you're very weak at it. And it's very easy to judge that. And it's very easy to default back to your original skills and say, you know what, I'm going to just go back. But in a long enough time horizon, when you look at things in a longer time frame, and when you look at things in the perspective of getting better at skills rather than getting and making more money, you're gonna be better off and you're gonna grow faster and gonna get to the point where you will generate money because the vehicle of increasing your skill sets have developed and you earn the right to make more money, right? I just didn't have the skills to put myself in camera, or I didn't have the skills to learn more about copywriting, for example. Um, to hire, for example. These are all skills that eventually will pile on. And as you get better and better at the skills, the likelihood and the probability of you succeeding just increases astronomically. When you start to get better at skills, there's still a chance that the thing you're working on isn't going to work. I'm not saying that because you have skills, it's going to work magically. No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is when you do increase those skills, the probabilities just start stacking in your favor. You just start getting better and better. And by getting better, you start seeing the details. And when you start seeing the details of every nuance, you just know exactly what you need to fix. It might be learning how to write a VSL copy, VSL copy. It might be learning how to do emails, or it might be learning how to do funnels. Now, you don't have to be the best at everything, but when you learn to know how to do it, you get your hands dirty, get in there and figure it out. You'll become a lot more effective than the offer owner or the entrepreneur who's just completely hands off everything. I think there's a time and place for that as well, where if you're at a certain point in your life where you can invest in companies and you have a lot of money and you can diversify, different story, right? I'm talking about specifically getting something off the ground or taking what you have and getting to the next level. I've been able to do that with my businesses. I've been able to transition from being a service provider, media buyer, CMO, CRO, that whole world over to having my own offers, being able to now lead a team, being able to understand numbers, not just from a ROAS perspective, like everyone does, or just like a CPA or, what the drop-off rates are, but now being able to know, what does the P&L look like? How profitable is the company? What are the operations of the company? How does it all flow, cash flow, all of that, right? And that's what I mean is that once you get to a certain point, you start hitting new levels, and those new levels will introduce themselves once you get there. And you can't get there until you start facing the battles in between and start learning the skills to do so. Once you learn the skills, you start to earn yourself the right to find the bigger problems, the bigger battles that you'll face, which in many cases you'll think, how am I going to do this? Like P&L, like how does that? Never in my career did I have to worry about that, right? Never in my career did I have to worry about payroll or all these other things. New problems just arise. They're not going to be any different than the ones you've had in the past. So, whatever situation or problem that you're facing through right now, just know that it's more important on the attitude of how you're facing those problems than it is of the problem itself. The problem itself, there's a tactic, there's a skill, there's an advice that can help you get through that. But really, what's important is, are you the person and have the mindset and the attitude to figure that out? Or do you find reasons? Do you find excuses on why this isn't going to work? It's a very important question to ask yourself because one is pretty much looking for an out, and the other one is failing forward and finding a solution no matter what problem it is. So that's what I want to leave you with. And I think this is very important because along your journey, there's going to be a lot of things that will come your way that are completely different and they haven't hit you yet. And like I said, it could be a season where you're just not getting anything off the ground. It's just like, why is this happening to me? It could be, you're already maintaining an offer and for whatever reason, you're not able to scale past that. Or you might be having a great season and you might be just crushing it and just figuring out what can I do next and how do I get to the next level? And how do I get to the next level before things start to taper off? And I think it's the season of life, season of entrepreneurship. Everyone's going to get through the different phases, and it's important to know that when you're in your uptime, enjoy it and just be prepared for the winters. And when you're in your winter time, just know that there's brighter days ahead. And it might not seem like it, and it might be hard, but just know that you're not the only one facing it. And what's most important is, okay, this is the situation. Here's what's going on. What's next? That's it. How do I fix it? What do I need to do to get to the next level? That's all you need to focus on. So hope you like this video. Enjoy it. And I'll continue to make more videos, get better at these. Obviously, this is kind of more of an informal video, just going off some of the things that I've learned, um, generating tens of millions of dollars for clients, for myself. And so I wanted to share that with you just so that way, if you're going through any of these things, these are the things to expect. And this is how you're going to just become better and make more money. So I hope this helps, and I'll talk to you guys soon. See you.